Welcome to the Parent You podcast, where we want to frame the challenges of the teenage years for parents to see these years as a great work of sanctification in their lives and have a deeper understanding of each other and most importantly, grow together in the grace of Jesus Christ. I'm Mark Long, and 5 years ago, I approached the leadership at Covenant Presbyterian Church in Birmingham, Alabama, about a calling to pursue the hearts of parents and families with teenagers and to equip them to be proactive rather than reactive in their parenting. These days, society expects a lot from girls. There's pressure coming from all sides. Look this way, talk this way, be interested in this, but certainly not this. Be successful in the classroom to set yourself up for a promising career, but you also need to know how to run a household. No wonder so many middle-aged school girls and high school-age girls are stressed, anxious, and confused about their value and worth. So what can we do as parents to encourage them? Today we welcome in Miss Sara Litten. Sara is the Director of Youth Ministries at Covenant Presbyterian Church here in Birmingham, and today she's here to lead us in a conversation that is near and dear to her heart, equipping parents to grasp the expectations and struggles facing teenage girls in order to uplift and encourage them to recenter where they derive their value and worth. Welcome, Sara.
Thanks, Mark.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here.
If you were to focus on two or three of the biggest issues that most teenage girls are facing today, what are they and why? Why are they?
Comparison is, I think, one of the major issues facing our teenage girls in particular, and I think boys are experiencing it in a different way. And with what they are consuming most of their day on social media, I think that it is recognizing that those things are actually feeding the comparison paradigm or whatever it is in their lives. I, as a teenager, already was comparing myself to other people, especially as an adolescent where you're trying to figure out who you are, and that is a good thing, and you that's the way in which God made teenagers. And you think as you're walking down the hallways, everyone is 100% thinking about me right now, when everyone that you're walking by is all thinking the same thing. They're all thinking, this girl is looking at me, this boy is looking at me, when really they're all thinking the same thing. Everyone's internal with what they're thinking. And so I think that with that in mind, I already was experiencing that as a teenager, and I didn't have all the extra things that have been brought into the life of teenagers. So I'll say to parents now, I think sometimes we can say, well, I was a teenager once. I did those things. I know what it's like. And I think that is true. But it is helping to get in their world and to say, I didn't have constant access to my friends. I didn't have constant access to what I could be like. I could maybe see a magazine at the grocery store or maybe be jealous of a friend of mine at school. But when I was at home, I was kind of free from that experience. If I wanted to talk to a friend, I had to call them on my home phone and figure out a place to meet in the neighborhood. Whereas they have constant access to what is everybody doing? What did I get left out of? What am I not a part of right now? So they're constantly comparing. It's not just a life of I'm comparing while I'm walking around my school. It is a 24/7, what is everybody doing without me? Who has everything that I want? Who has all these things? And then on top of that, you have Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram and all these places saying, here is a place that I can give you life. If you just do these 3 steps, you'll get it. So I'd say the comparison is the major issue that's giving our girls so much anxiety and so much loneliness and so much desire for good things, but in the wrong places.
Where does that come from, this comparison aspect?
Yeah, I think, again, that the good desire is the longing for something that's better. I think one thing that is really helpful that I've just learned even from teenagers and how to parent my own children, is the ways in which they really, a lot of times parents will harp on the issue at hand, the action or whatever, the wrong thing that someone did or the wrong idea that they had about themselves. And I think asking the question, what you're saying, getting deeper, is asking what's the heart of whatever the thing is that you're comparing. So when girls are comparing themselves to others, I think they're comparing themselves in a lot of areas. I don't think it's just one area. So I think if we were to take friendship, for example, one major thing that I feel like teenagers often say to me is like, I don't have a lot of friends. I really want a lot of friends. And not recognizing what friendship really is probably only going to be a few really good friends that are going to be with you. But when you're comparing yourself to people online or to even your friends at school, whatever their perception of themselves, whatever they're going to present of themselves is going to be, look at all the friends that I have. So I think asking the question there, to dig deeper there, would to say, well, what's the good longing? The good longing is that you desire a relationship, that you want to be a good friend, that you want to have people that you can talk to, that you want to be someone that is known by someone else. And so helping them to see that those are really good desires that they are created for, that they actually were made to be known. They were made for these things. They were made for friendship. And so I'm using that just one example, but I think you could use that in all kinds of places. I think just getting to the heart of what your particular teenager might be comparing themselves in, because not all of them are comparing themselves in all areas of life.
Yeah. What are some other areas that females struggle with? I mean, I know we all have big struggles, but you're on the front lines. What are some other things you see?
I work in a upper class, middle class church. And so one of the huge parts of the struggles with our students is just that they would be perfect and successful in all areas of life. And so the drive towards academics is huge, and that's not even necessarily related to their parents. Their parents, I've talked to many parents who have said, my child will not stop studying and doing these things and feeling like they're not living up to these expectations. And I tell them I don't care what kinds of grades they make. But the culture that they live in says, in order for you to be successful, in order for you to have all the things that you want, all the things that you see on social media, you have to have it all together. And so the pressure, it is a pressure cooker for our students when it comes to what they feel like needs to be for their lives. They feel like they got to have it all together now as teenagers, I think, first of all, and they're not capable of handling that kind of pressure. And so, you can look at statistics everywhere that anxiety is on the rise, loneliness is on the rise. It's been on the rise, but just in even greater ways. I will say, I know that Jesus is king, but I do not think Snapchat should exist in the world. And I know that people, and if any of my students were listening to this, they already know my feelings about this too. But I think that one of the other major issues, and this is related to friendship and relationships, is the good desire for a relationship is amazing. The problem is that we've replaced what real relationships are with fake relationships over a device. I think that has been what has been such a huge rise in all of this loneliness and these experiences, and lots of other people would say the same. More experts than me would say the same. Our students have experiences of being connected to their friends or to acquaintances or to people they've never met. And they have this taste of maybe what a relationship or friendship looks like. And yet they don't have this face-to-face encounter with other people that actually helps them grow and understand another person's heart. I can put anything out on Snapchat. I can say anything and no one can know what the heart is behind whatever I say.
Let me ask you this question, because I want parents to have some hope. I want parents to know that there is great hope that's out there. And if they know Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior, they can put their hope there and trust Him. But what are some practical things that parents could do to encourage their young girls?
Yeah. I have thought about this a lot, and I've told my students this, especially my current small group, of just how much they have helped me understand how to better parent my own children. Just in the way sometimes they may or may not complain about their parents to me during our time together. And it really does give me just some helpful insight into thinking about how I parent my own children and those complaints. And I also am excited about my own child, Marley, having the opportunity to complain to another youth leader about me one day. But I think one of the first things that students have said a lot is that their parents are trying to fix whatever that thing is that they're sharing. It's hard for me to share because I feel like my mom or my dad is just going to tell me the step-by-step process. And really what I want them to do is just say, that sounds really hard. Or I'm really sorry that that's going on. So then when the fix-it mom or the fix-it dad comes in, a lot of times they'll say, well, now I don't really want to talk about it anymore because this is way more than I was intending. I just wanted to tell you what was going on. The other one that I think I've heard students complain about is the reaction that their parent might give in whatever a scenario is. And so there is just a charge to think about how can I show my teenager when they tell me something shocking, because they probably are going to tell me something shocking one day. How can I save my shock for my bedroom later or my pillow? How can I present to them an attitude of, I want to know what's going on and I want to be a safe place for you to be able to talk about these things. And you're going to mess up, and that's okay too. But I think just being a place that says I'm safe, and so then my third point then related to that, am I as a parent spending time with Jesus? Am I at the feet of Jesus? Am I showing my kid that I am not perfect and that social media is really hard for me, that comparing is really hard for me? That I mess up, because I think a lot of times too, we think about our parents and we think, oh, they've got it all together. They don't understand what it's like to be me. And so I think even just presenting yourself as I am a person seeking and repenting and believing that Jesus is King, and I'm not doing it well all the time. And apologizing to our kids when we don't. I think those are just three things that come to mind that, again, have helped me in working with teenagers and have helped me in my own parenting.
Yeah, I remember I was at a retreat facility checking it out to see if we wanted to bring our kids there. And I meet the director, and he was just wonderful. He said something to me that I will never forget. And he was talking about rearing girls. And it's something I've shared with a lot of dads, and I want to share it on this podcast. And that is, he looked at me, he said, Mark, whatever you do, don't ever deny your lap to your daughter. He said, we want to hold them and cuddle with them when they're little, and then they grow up and kind of get too big for your lap, or they put their hands up saying, don't get near me, Dad, or whatever, But the important part there is deny. When your daughter is wanting affection from you, don't deny that. And I want to encourage dads that way. I want to encourage moms that way too. And I think, back to your point, when students, particularly females, come to us as parents with issues, part of the issue, one of the things that they're actually wanting from us is not just the answer, but it's affection. It's value and worth, that you're valuable enough for me to listen to. You're worth something to me. And how we communicate to our girls, I think, is very important. Parent U is a ministry of Oak Mountain Presbyterian Church. I'm Pastor Mark Long, and thanks for listening.